What's going on, guys? We are back with another video. This one's gonna be a little bit different. You know, ice is forming pretty quick up here in the upper Midwest. I'm up here in northern Wisconsin. I've been on the ice pretty much every day the past week now, and we've been kind of doing a lot of like the first ice stuff, hitting kind of the average small lakes. We don't really have a ton of like great small water, but we've done a little bit of musky fishing, some crappie fishing, but I'm kind of getting prepped up for the hardcore part of ice season, and that's the big water fishing, the bigger lakes in Minnesota, Mille Lacs, Red, Leech, the bigger lakes in my neck of the woods. A lot of walleye fishing going on, a lot of crappie fishing on some of our bigger lakes up here too. So we're kind of gonna go through. I just got a box of kind of the stuff that I use pretty much every day on the ice and some of my favorite stuff. So I figured it'd be an awesome opportunity to film a video and kind of, you know, some of the stuff that I use, and we'll kind of throw in some information about baits and rods and tip-ups and kind of all that stuff along the way. So here's the box. We're gonna do a little bit of unboxing. I've never done an unboxing before, so hopefully this is up to par with other YouTubers unboxings. But the first thing in here that we have is the tried and true Beaver Dam tip-up. I already have a ton of these tip-ups, but you can always have another tip-up, right? Just in case you're you know, fishing with a big group or something like that. But overall, I don't really do a ton of tip-up fishing. I do a ton of moving around, and I like being very mobile. But what makes a Beaver Dam tip-up, which is what this is, a Beaver Dam tip-up, is the spool. If I can get this out of here. All my tip-ups are Beaver Dam tip-ups. Something is stuck. Normally, I just like to try to pull as hard as I can. It seems to be the best thing to do most of the time in these kind of situations. But here's your Beaver Dam tip-up. Now, they come in all sorts of different colors and stuff. I don't know what this is called, and I'm not really concerned about what color this is, but it's the spool. It is the smoothest tip-up spool you can have. And where does that come very handy? Really whenever you're tip-up fishing, but especially for like walleyes, if you set tip-ups for perch, which I do a fair amount, if I'm fishing like shiners, you want a very, very smooth spool, something that the fish feels no resistance on. And these are hands down the best as far as smooth the spool goes, easily. You know, I love catching fish on a rod and reel as much as anybody else, and I'd much rather catch them in a rod and reel, but there is definitely a time for set lines. You know, if you're new to tip-up fishing, basically your line goes on here, and fish takes it, flag pops, and with this spool, they feel no resistance. So, you know, a lot of times, even if I am doing kind of a jig program and I find kind of the mother load of fish, I'll drop in another line with just a bigger bait on it just to see if a bigger fish bites. So, you know, if you're looking at getting into tip-up fishing, it is worth the couple extra bucks to get a Beaver Dam tip-up. It just is. They stand the test of time. A lot of guys, including myself, still have tip-ups that their grandpa gave them, that the spools are still great on. Plus, if they do go bad, you can get them re-greased for, it's fairly inexpensive, and you're back with basically the best tip-up there is. Also made in the USA, so can't beat that. So the next one I'm gonna show you guys is another tip-up. I actually used these last year, but wanted another one, and that is the new Light Up Beaver Dam. So it's the same tip-up. Now, I did a short video on these. I think I put it up on Facebook like a month ago, but basically what this tip-up is, it's the same great spool that a Beaver Dam has. Now, for fishing at night, which is most of the time guys are doing that, it's for walleye fishing, you know, you gotta use it pretty much tip-up light. And tip-up lights suck, they fall off, they run out of battery, blah, 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 the whole thing. So basically the way these work, they have a button right here. You press that button when you're ready to fish. Boom, the light is on, very bright. I think they come in red and green. I think I have a couple of greens as well. But, so obviously if, you know, this is your flag pop, you're gonna be able to see that super good. Now when you set the tip up, it goes off. Very nifty, right? I was extremely impressed with this last year. And like I said, I hate tip-up lights because they're always falling off. So, you know, you're out there, it's very dark out, boom, flag goes up. Very bright light on the end of it. You reset it, boom, you're done fishing at the end of the day. Hit the button, off. Very cool product. You know, it basically takes out the light aspect of having to have an external light. And basically all this is a battery pack back here. I don't even know how often you would have to change these because I ran them all last winter and never changed them once. So very cool product. Now if you're looking at, you know, they're obviously the same tip-up. You know, you can use one or the other for either. You know, it's not like you have to engage this light to fish during the day. It won't use any battery if it's just sitting here until you turn that light on. So very simple setup. But you know, if you're looking for kind of the one tip-up that, you know, fits all purposes, you know, you might as well get that light one. And I know they still got some in stores, so they will sell out quick, as Beaver Dams normally do. So get out and pick one of these bad boys up if you want to. Beaver dams are well worth the little bit of extra price, because you will literally have these tip ups until you give them to your kids, and then they give them to their grandkids. So awesome product there. Now we're getting into rods. So these are another beaver dam product. Now, I just did a video the other day where I talked a little bit about noodle rods, but basically what is a noodle rod? Generally, noodle rods are built for pan fishing. And what a noodle rod is, it's a rod that has a very soft tip followed by a lot of backbone. You can see, I'm gonna kind of load this rod up, and you're gonna kind of see it only has flex in right there in the end of the rod and a little bit down into the rod. But this is a 32 inch. This is kind of the length I like, especially if I'm fishing outside. I like stuff that's 30 inches or over, and I do a lot of hole hopping, so I like a longer rod so I can stand and fish. It's got light, basically wire guides on it to keep it lightweight. But basically what a noodle rod allows you to do is, most of us that are pan fishing are fishing relatively light jigs, tungstens, small spoons, stuff like that. And a noodle rod loads up under the weight of your jig. So if you're jigging, it looks like that. Now, crappies are notorious up biters, and what typically happens when you get a bite, that red mark comes flying up at you, and boom, that rod straightens out to let you know you have a bite. So, you know, noodle rod's great because basically eliminates the need for a spring bobber. You don't have to run a spring bobber, and it's just kind of what guys are doing now. The high-end custom rod manufacturers are making a lot of noodle rods. It's probably their most popular rod. I'm assuming that most of them sell. And you know, this is a beaver dam one. It's relatively inexpensive, but I've been using these for years now. They definitely get it done, and definitely wanted to pick up another one. They got the bright tip on the end as that strike indicator. So great rod. You know, if you're looking to get into ice fishing or just pick up some extra rods, you know, very inexpensive way to get a quality noodle rod. And these are the rods that I catch a million crappies and panfish with all winter long. So the next rod is a walleye stick. I believe this one's a 30 inch. It's another beaver dam rod. Relatively inexpensive rod. I want to say these are like 25 bucks. This is a 30 inch medium rod. Same thing, light wire guides on there. Much stiffer rod, much more of a walleye action rod, but a nice shack rod for jigging spoons or heavy stuff like that. So, you know, if you guys want to pick up a couple of relatively inexpensive but good ice rods, you know, check out either of these two. I'll kind of link a lot of this stuff down below. Now we get into kind of the guts of this unboxing. I'm not sure which way we should go with this. We might as well start on this end here. So what we have here, this whole pile of baits is, these are Acme. They're a new bait for this year. They're a rattling tungsten jig. I'll see if that can focus on there. And this is a Google Eye series. Now they've been making Google Eye series for walleyes for a few years now, and I've been using a ton of them. And basically what this is, the Google Eye, the open water series was a walleye jig. It was basically your standard gumball jig, but it had a glass rattle where the eyes are. Does it make a difference? Who knows? It can't hurt, right? But one thing that's definitely going to make a big difference is, I am a strong believer. Now, I've been using these for several days out on the ice now. If you take these and you hold them up to your ear and rattle them like that, you can hear that glass BB in there banging. We'll see if we can get it to focus on that at all. It might not, and I'm too far away to really touch the camera, but we'll see if we can get it here to focus. There we go. So you can see that eye. That is a hollow eye, and there's a BB inside that chamber that rattles around. Now, most of the time when you're jigging for panfish, and I just kind of did a video on this, but you do a lot of like this action right here. You're taking that and just kind of hammering the tip in place, and that's kind of like the triggering factor that gets fish to kind of come in and look at you a lot of times. You know, walleye fishing, it's a lot more of this, where pan fishing, it's a lot more you just kind of vibrating that tip. And what that jig's down there doing is just doing that. And if you got a plastic or a waxy or whatever you're fishing on there, the thing just sits down there and hammers. Well, if you do that with this, you can hear that thing, that little rattle going in there. And you know, fish have a million times better, they can feel that stuff, hear that stuff from a lot farther away than we can, especially under the ice. You know, if you ever wonder how well sound travels under the ice, but if there's a boat going by, you know, 500 yards away and you're under the water, it's crazy how it seems like that boat's right on top of you. But sound travels very well underwater, and fish are much more in tune to sound and everything than we are underwater, obviously. So definitely gonna play a factor. And like I said, I've been absolutely pounding crappies on these the last few days, just here in my local Hayward water. So, and we don't even have any really great crappie water that we can get out to yet. But you know, if you guys are looking up to add something else to your arsenal this year, absolutely come out. They come in a million different colors. Check out some of these Google Eye tungsten rattling jigs. Very cool jig, good hook. They got the sideways eye on them, which I always like. I don't like jigs that come with like an eye that's like parallel with the hook. It makes your jig sit a lot cleaner when it's sideways like that. So good hook on these. We've been fishing them both with plastics and with waxies, and they've been catching a ton of fish. So I'm sure that will continue. It's really too simple of an idea to not work a jig with a rattle in it. Yeah, so the other kind of jig, which I got a ton of, is the just their standard Pro Tungstens from Acme here. Just a standard tungsten jig. They come in a bunch of great colors. They have a good hook. I've caught a million fish on these, but guy always needs more tungsten jigs. Good jigs come in a whole bunch of different colors. I got a million different colors here. I'd say if I was gonna pick out like 2 main colors of jigs to have, one would be that one, and I'd probably have like 10 of these. If I had 11 jigs, 10 of them would probably be gold. I love gold in really all colors of water, 100%. The other jig color I'd get is something more natural, something you know, with either some white, a lot of white in it, or some kind of barring, something a little bit more of a natural color. So gold's a phenomenal color. Gold kind of fits a natural profile. It fits a good dirty water thing because it's got the shine. Fish in clear water love gold. Fish just love gold. So get some golds, get some natural colors, and you guys will be in plenty good shape for the ice fishing. Here we have a bunch. Here's kind of a cool color, which I've been actually doing really well on this year. This one's called, they always got the Shiz. This is what this one's called. But it's got a gold top, and then it's got this pink belly. We'll see if we can get the camera to focus again here. Gold top, pinkish red glow belly. Killer right there. Glass rattle chamber in there. Awesome jig for sure. And now we'll get on to some of the other stuff, some of my other favorites which are in here. Like I said, we got a mountain of tungstens in here. We'll just kind of go box to box. I'm sure these are probably what I think they are. And yes, they are. So this is the Acme Castmaster Rattle Master. And I'll pull this out and kind of show you what it is. This jig, or this spoon, for me, caught more fish than anything else walleye-wise last winter. Hands down in this exact color. They come with a snap that you can throw right on there. And basically, this is all it is. It is a flat-sided spoon with a gold rattle on the back. Now, like I said, I love gold for really everything, so I like these spoons to have kind of like a split color to them. At front, now these are all glow series in this basically variety here. You got the green, you got black bars, you got a white belly. I did a podcast the other day and I had no idea what kind of questions the guy's gonna ask me, and he's like, what's your favorite, you know, what catches more walleyes than anything else for you through the ice? And it is that exact spoon. It's got the rattle in there. You know, sometimes I like rattles, especially if I'm fishing stained water, if I'm fishing after dark, stuff like that. And that's a pretty loud rattle. It's kind of like a buckshot spoon, but you get a lot more action out of this than you do with the buckshot spoons. When you kind of pop this thing, it has a lot of glide to it. And if you kind of rattle it still in place, it cups like that as you rattle it. So most of the time with this, I'm tipping this with a minnow head, fat head most of the time. And that's really all you need. A lot of times I'm fishing really jacked up walleyes like red or Mille Lacs, early ice. Yeah, I don't even tip it with anything. Just get it down there and start pounding it. And that one is by far my best catching walleye spoon. We got so much stuff in here, we're kind of going through it. So I just kind of order a ton of colors of these. There's a solid white one. And they all glow unless you go with kind of like a metallic finish or a natural finish. What else do we got in here? There's some more green. So the 2 sizes I fish in these Rattle Masters, these are actually the blue one. Here's another color that I like a lot. The 2 sizes I fish in these for walleyes is the 8th and the 12th. Now, when do you fish one or the other? This one is an 1/8 ounce. Let me see if I can find some 12s just as for comparison here. But when do you fish with one or the other? And that is a great question. Generally, I always start out with the bigger one. You know, I like fishing bigger baits overall. I like heavier jigs, heavier you can fish because they get down there a lot quicker. So overall, I generally fish a lot of that 1/8 ounce spoon. Tipped with half a fathead, like I said. So if the bite gets tough, or a lot of times real late winter up here, what I'll do is I'll go down to that 12th, and it has a lot slower fall, has a little bit more of a float when you work it. So, you know, generally early ice, like I said, or I'm always starting out with that 1/8, and if I gotta go down to like the 12th, I will. And especially more late winter, kind of when you start seeing a lot more finicky fish moving a lot slower, not quite as reacting to you quite as quick on the graph, stuff like that. But more times than not, I'm fishing that 1/8 ounce. Here's kind of another one. A lot of these rattle masters that I get are in like a real vibrant pattern, but they also make these live image series. I'll kind of try to focus her up for you. You can see a very natural perch on there. Got a bunch on that color, but pretty much everywhere walleyes live, they feed on perch, especially the best walleye lakes known to man. It's a lot of perch base, and a lot of these lakes have a lot of perch that are like 2-3 inches long, which is kind of perfect walleye fry size, or walleye eating size. And especially up here, a lot of our best walleye lakes are absolutely loaded with small perch. So anything that has the kind of like perch profile, whether it's like this, that first green rattle master I showed, or really anything that has bars on it like that, is generally a good idea. So anything that mimics that small perch. We'll see what else we got in here. This might start to get kind of boring because I think I have a lot of the same baits in here. We'll kind of see what, we'll do some unboxing here and see what else we got. So here's kind of the 12th ounce here. A little bit smaller one that I use for walleyes, kind of when things get finicky. Also, a good big crappie size for keying in on the biggest crappies in the school. I'll use a lot of these Castmasters. Castmasters are a bomb bait for anything. I fish them a ton open water, for walleyes, trout, everything. And I fish them a ton through the ice. So they're just a productive bait, really any time of year for any species almost. Another one which I think guys kind of overlook, which has been out for an eternity, is the Sidewinder by Acme. This is basically a real simple spoon, and it's got a little bit more roll to it than the Castmaster. I'll kind of show you here. This has kind of been the old school standby for years, which still catches a ton of fish. It's much more cupped on the backside, and it has a little bit more flutter to it. Like I said, I love gold, so there's another gold one for you guys, but that's in the 1/8 ounce size. That one's just been a top secret destroyer of fish through the ice for years and years. We catch smallmouth on these late in the year in kind of like the 1/2 ounce size. Awesome spoons there. Relatively inexpensive, and they just catch fish. So that's the Sidewinder. I know we got a bunch of other stuff in here. All right, here we go. Here's the Hyper Rattles. Awesome bait. Now this is like a jigging wrap gliding style lure. Just kind of pull it out here for you guys. This one's in like their natural perch color. So I fish a lot of these, as you guys know, in the summer and fall. They're kind of designed as an ice fishing bait, as many of these baits are. So they sink very fast. Now they're great for getting down very quick. So like a lot of times if, you know, I'm out on Mille Lacs and I drill, I'm out in the holes and I'm looking for fish. This is a lot of times the first bait down because it has a lot more action than a spoon. You know, let's say, you know, one underutilized technique I think is fishing very high in the water column for walleyes that are at a deeper depth. So if you're fishing mudflats in 25 to 32 feet of water, a lot of times what I'll do is I don't take this and rocket it to 1 foot off the bottom. Or a lot of guys think of walleyes as that fish that holds, you know, this close to bottom. When in reality, those fish do quite a bit of roaming, especially in lakes that have a lot of pelagic bait, whether that's ciscos or, you know, perch running around up high. They're very used to eating stuff that's up high. And what I'll do a lot of times, I'll drop something like this down that has a lot of action, and I'll keep it like 8-10 feet off bottom. And I'll just start working that rod real aggressive. And what this thing basically does, it'll do two things. On a pump, it's gonna fly out to the side, it's gonna turn around and come back in. If you keep kind of pumping it, the thing will walk kind of a big circle and it'll be real erratic down there. You'll get a whole bunch of this where all of a sudden it goes the opposite way. Very erratic bait, but it gives those fish a target way up high. And a lot of times those fish might not come all the way up and eat, but it has a very good job of drawing fish in underneath me. I might start seeing some flickering close to the bottom, which is a fish that was maybe way over there that saw that thing bouncing around up high and came in under it, right? And then obviously if they're not coming up to bite, I'll drop it down closer to the bottom. So it's a great hunting bait. It's also a great way to just catch the most aggressive fish. These baits do a very good job of that. They come in a ton of different colors. Throw a snap on that and you're good to go. This is the medium size. They make one smaller than this and one bigger than this. This is definitely kind of my favorite size to be fishing in the winter. So most of the time I don't tip these, but if I have a lot of fish looking, I'll either do one of two things. I'll either throw a minnow head on there, or a plastic on this bottom, or I'll go to a spoon or something like that. So great bait to catch the most aggressive fish. Great hunting bait for all overall, and really a productive bait. Like I said, I use it a ton in the summer in the biggest size. So if you want to kind of get some just very versatile baits, definitely check out these Hyper Rattles. They do have a little rattle in them as well, as they're called the hyper rattle, but they just catch a ton of fish. Now we fish them totally different in the summer, and if you want to see how we do that, I'm sure I got a whole bunch of videos on my YouTube channel of that. What else we got in here? Here's a cool color of Castmaster, which I really like. You guys are probably like, this guy said every single color is his favorite color by now. But I love anything that has purple in it too. Purple, especially in clear water, just seems to do a great job, especially for walleyes. A lot of my favorite walleye cranks are purple. A lot of my favorite spoons in the winter, you know, I love purple too. So there's a purple one. It's got a little bit of purple and a little bit of gold in it, the best of both worlds. So another hot color there that I fish a ton in the summer. Let me see what else we got in here. Got a little bit of everything. Here's another purple hyper rattle right there. That's definitely my favorite color all summer long and fall long. That and the biggest size they make. So caught a ton of fish on those ones. They make this one in a pink, which I really like too. That Castmaster, I really can't say enough about that 1/8 ounce Castmaster. I've definitely caught more fish, walleyes through the ice on that bait than anything else. Here's kind of a different color, a Sidewinder, which I've never used before, but I'm sure it'll catch fish this winter. So that's kind of it. I got a whole bunch of the same stuff. Now, talking about buying a million different baits, there's kind of a cool one there. I keep getting sidetracked now, but you know, one thing I learned about myself is that the longer I fish, each year I seem to buy less and less different stuff. So, you know, maybe early on I bought this crankbait, that crankbait, this crankbait, this brand, that brand, this brand, that brand. The more I fish and year to year, I get less different stuff and I end up buying much more of the same stuff that I know that works. A lure is really a tool. So, you know, whatever you have confidence in fishing in that situation, you know, like if walleyes are suspended 20 feet down in the middle of summer, I know I'm either gonna pull in the lake, a lot of lakes I fish, I either know I'm gonna be pulling a purple spinner or a purple flicker minnow. So kind of the more I fish, the much more refined my tackle gets. And I have a ton of confidence in the baits that I like to fish because I've had so much experience with them. So, you know, kind of, you guys can kind of use that same thing. You know, if you get out on the weekends, you know, don't try to get everything, every single bait from every single company that might fit that. You know, get the one bait from that, you know, maybe get a couple from a couple different ones, play with them, see what you got confidence in, and learn each bait for what it's good for, and you guys are gonna be much more successful on the water. So that was kind of a quick little unboxing. It's kind of boring because, like I said, I don't buy a ton of variety and a ton of different stuff. So the baits that I just unboxed are gonna catch 99% of the fish I catch all winter long. So thank you guys for watching. You know, I'll link a lot of this stuff down below if you guys wanna check it out. If you're getting out on ice this weekend, be safe. And yeah, stay tuned. We got a ton more videos on the way. And please subscribe for more content. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, stay tuned.